They say some deaths don't make sense. That was definitely true for Jenna Willis. The door was locked from the inside. No forced entry. No signs of struggle. But when they found her, the look on her face was sheer terror. Ash Hollow wasn't the kind of place where things happened. A quiet town, isolated and unremarkable, where everyone knew everyone else. But on the night of October 18th, something happened that no one could explain. The town of Ash Hollow wasn't known for much. A few winding roads, a gas station where the clerk always seemed half asleep, and a diner that served coffee so thick it could be mistaken for tar. It was the kind of place you drove through on your way to somewhere more important. No one stayed in Ash Hollow unless they had to. But Jenna Willis had nowhere else to go. She had lived in Ash Hollow her entire life, 28 years of monotony, spent working at the local pharmacy and caring for her ailing mother. After her mother's passing, she inherited the house on Birchwood Lane, an aging Victorian with sloping floors and a personality of its own. Jenna wasn't scared of being alone. She had never been one for socializing, and the quiet suited her. But the quiet in that house was different. It wasn't the peaceful kind. It was thick, heavy, the kind of silence that pressed against your eardrums and made your thoughts feel too loud. Then the knocking started. It wasn't the loud, impatient pounding of a visitor, nor the rhythmic raps of a tree branch against the window. It was soft, insistent, coming from inside the walls. At first, Jenna ignored it. Old houses made noise. With settled, pipes creaked, things moved. But this knocking had a pattern, always 3 taps, followed by silence. It came at odd hours. 2:17 a.m., 4:42 a.m., never the same time twice. One night she knocked back. She regretted it instantly. The air in the room seemed to change, thickening like molasses. A low whisper threaded through the silence, so faint she almost thought she imagined it. But the knocking stopped. That night, for the first time in years, Jenna slept with the light on. The next morning, she found the door to the spare bedroom open. She never used that room. It had been her mother's, and she hadn't had the heart to clear it out. The air inside was stale, untouched. The bed, still made, had a single imprint in the dust, like someone had been sitting there watching. Jenna locked the door, but the knocking didn't stop. It got worse. She heard whispers when she walked past the room, like a conversation she wasn't supposed to hear. Shadows moved in her peripheral vision, always gone when she turned. The air in the house grew colder, heavier. She started waking up with bruises on her arms, fingerprints she couldn't explain. The final night, she set up her phone to record. She placed it on the dresser, facing her bed, and forced herself to sleep. The footage was only 8 minutes long. At 3:12 a.m., Jenna's sleeping form stirred. A long, spindly hand, pale as bone, slid into frame from the darkness behind her headboard. It hovered inches above her throat, not touching, just waiting. The fingers twitched once, twice, then slowly retracted, vanishing into the shadows. Jenna never woke up. When the police arrived, they found her in bed, eyes open, mouth frozen in a silent scream. No signs of struggle, no injuries, just the look of absolute, unfiltered terror. The only other thing in the room was her phone, still recording. The video had been deleted. Detective Alan Graves had seen plenty of strange cases in his 15 years on the force, but this one didn't sit right. No physical trauma, no apparent cause of death. Just that expression, pure horror, etched onto Jenna's lifeless face. The medical examiner's report confirmed what the detective already knew. Jenna's heart had simply stopped. No underlying conditions, no poison, no logical reason. The house itself was another story. There were no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints except Jenna's, and yet something was off. The spare bedroom, the one Jenna never used, had deep scratch marks along the wooden floor, leading from the bed to the closet. Neighbors were questioned. No one had seen anything unusual, but one woman, Mrs. Calhoun, mentioned something peculiar. Jenna wasn't alone, she said, lowering her voice. She talked to someone. I'd see her through the window, sitting in that room, whispering like she was having a full conversation. But no one was ever there. The only suspect, if you could call him that, was Jenna's ex-boyfriend, Mark Evans. They had broken up a year prior, and while Mark had a history of anger issues, there was no evidence linking him to the scene. He had a rock-solid alibi, but when shown a picture of Jenna's bedroom, something in his expression shifted. That closet, he muttered. She always said something lived in there. A shadow, a presence. Thought she was joking. The detective didn't believe in ghosts. But the more he dug, the stranger it got. A deep dive into the house's history revealed something disturbing. 15 years ago, another woman had died in that very room. Same cause, same expression, same deleted recording. And before that, a case in 1972, and another in 1953. Always the same room, always the same fear. Alan Graves wasn't a superstitious man, but he wasn't a fool either. He recommended the house be condemned. But before the order could go through, a real estate company put it back on the market. The last he heard, someone had already moved in, and the knocking had started again.